Welcome to Bear Download. I'm Rich Campbell along with Dan Wiederer. We're here on Monday at House Hall as the Bears got back to practice from their bye week. A lot of positive energy as the Bears really start to focus on turning this 3-5 start around. And it starts with Marc Trestman today, Dan. We heard him speak to the media this afternoon about having the full support of the organization, his players, the locker room. The Bears are trying to unite this thing and get it turned around starting with Sunday's game against Green Bay.
Yeah, and whether they make a push to get back in the playoff picture or not, what we need to see over these next 8 weeks is just how well Marc Trestman can do in keeping a locker room united and fighting towards the goal that they ultimately want to get to. This is about more than just this season at this point. There's some big picture things you have to look at. Can they get this thing stable and on firm enough ground that when you look past 2014, you feel like the leadership is in place? There's a lot of questions to be answered in these last 8 weeks, and it starts with the Packers, obviously a very tough road challenge coming out of the bye week.
Yeah, and I think it even goes beyond coaches when you're talking about some of this leadership and building blocks in place. You got to have good play from your quarterback always. I mean, it's a natural leadership position, and it starts with not being vocal. It starts with playing well. Jay's got to play well. They talked about some of the self-scouting they've done, and Trestman didn't share all the answers with us. Obviously, a lot of that's in-house. It's a competitive issue, but you understand that he's got to protect the ball. There's some things they can do schematically to set up this run-pass balance that they're looking for, and some of that falls on Trestman as well.
No question. Anytime we talk about Marc Trestman, it's going to be directly related to Jay Cutler's production. That is why Marc Trestman is here, to bring the best out of this quarterback that they've signed to this long-term extension. They didn't get the most out of him for the first 8 weeks of the season. As Phil Emery said a week ago, Jay was a 3-5 quarterback. This is a 3-5 team. They've got to be better than that in the second half of the season. And so Marc Trestman really has to dial in with Cutler and get him to understand, we've been talking about it forever, the details, all the details, how important they are on a daily basis to lead towards productivity on Sundays or game days, whenever that is. That's what we really need to see, starting with the Packers and then for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and the nature of that relationship is why any type of coaching move at the midpoint of the season would be so hasty, it'd be very impulsive. It's not how this team is set up to win.
It's silly, and obviously it's 2014, and there's a lot of airtime to be filled, a lot of reports that need to surface and conversations that need to be had. But Trestman's job security 8 games into his second season seems a little premature to start getting panicky with that. Yeah, very premature. And you can ask people questions on, okay, then what? Who do you promote to be your interim head coach if you were going to get rid of him? What are you looking to accomplish with something like that? There's a lot.
Where would it leave Jay?
What do you do with the contract situations of both those guys? It's really a crazy, crazy side conversation that's being had. Marc Trestman made it clear today that he's had, in his mind, the full support of the organization, and he's seen, from what he can tell, the players still buying into what he's asking them to do on the practice field, in the meeting rooms, in the locker room, and so those are key elements to this whole thing. Again, this comes back to results, and we may be having a totally different conversation come Christmas than we're having now, but obviously for right now, I think the Bears are refreshed that they had a week to step back, detach from some of the frustrations that mushroomed up after the Dolphins and the Patriots games. We'll see where they go from here.
Yeah, I think your point is a lot to prove, but at least for now we know the track that they're on.
And look, I enjoyed my week 9. I'm sure you enjoyed your week 9. Sometimes taking a step back and getting away gives you a little bit of rejuvenation, a little newfound energy. We'll see if it did the same for the Bears.
Yeah, we'll have to.
It felt like a Chris video. Until now.
Until we get out of the. Hey, we have a Halloween party coming in after this. All right. So for Dan Wiederer, I'm Rich Campbell. That'll do it for this edition of Bear Download.